Good morning, 49ers fan. Oh, oh, the ginger beard coming to you early on a Monday morning. That means that must mean we've got some 49ers quarterbacks to talk about. We've got 49ers training camp happening this week. Oh boy, we are back in the saddle, ready to talk football. We're starting bright and early, 9 a.m. on the West Coast in gold country. Yeehaw! Let's go. Let's get into it. 49ers football starts right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, Sourdough Squad? Happy football to you all. The reason why I say happy football is because training camps, not only for the San Francisco 49ers, but across the league, are back in full swing. Now, the 49ers veterans don't officially report until Tuesday, tomorrow, and we don't get our first on-field look at the 49ers until Wednesday, but that doesn't change the fact that football is back. We've officially made it. Round of applause for all you guys out there who survived the off season of all off seasons. And of course, everything that came along with it. Shout out to all the SDS. But my goodness, it's time. We've got 49ers quarterbacks in the news. We've got former 49ers quarterbacks in the news. So let's get into it. Let's talk about why these guys are being discussed in Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe I'm sure you guys probably saw this from the weekend. I think this came out yesterday, but we did find out that former 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo has officially been cleared. Now, some may be asking yourself right now, why are we talking about Raiders Jimmy Garoppolo? And what is the relevance to the San Francisco 49ers? Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you right now. So hold your horses. All right. So the reason why we're talking about Raiders Jimmy Garoppolo is because we've been waiting and seeing if Jimmy was going to be a part of 49ers versus Raiders joint practices. Were we going to be able to see our old buddy Jimmy Garoppolo on the other side of the field wearing a different uniform? We will. It's going to happen. Jimmy Garoppolo, again, if you missed what's happening with Jimmy Garoppolo signs the big contract with the Raiders. When they go to sign and he has to pass a physical, he fails the physical. So that put everything on hold in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders. Jimmy had to prove from March till now that he could I think he had to have another surgery on his foot, which remember he broke against the Miami Dolphins. That basically launched Brock Purdy's career. So I guess, shout out Jimmy for falling on the sword in that particular instance. But all things considered, Jimmy Garoppolo had to prove to the Raiders that he could be healed and be cleared and pass a physical prior to training camp. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Jimmy Garoppolo passed the physical. The San Francisco 49ers will be seeing Jimmy Garoppolo in a Raiders jersey in joint practices in Las Vegas. So that's going to happen. That's going to be just phenomenal football right there. I know, and again, joint practices, people are like, practice. We're talking about practice. Joint practices are the best. If you haven't had an opportunity to go to joint practices, I would highly recommend it, especially at this stage of the year. And the reason why joint practices are so impactful is because for the starters, for the guys who are actually going to be playing throughout the entirety of the season, joint practices are much more impactful than preseason games. So because you get starters versus starters. You get starting offense versus starting defense. It's another team. They're going full speed for the majority of it, and they're getting a lot of reps. So joint practices are huge for the veterans. Obviously, it's huge for anyone who's on the field, but it's definitely an emphasis for veteran players who don't really play a whole lot during preseason. So the joint practices are always more impactful than actual preseason games themselves for the veteran guys. It really feels like now in today's NFL, when we look at preseason is really for the fringe guys, the young guys, to one get some experience in game reps, but also prove who is worthy of making a roster spot. So Jimmy Garoppolo will be lining up across from Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Mooney Ward, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave coming up with joint practices. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be absolutely phenomenal content, as I'm sure you guys are going to be looking forward to all the updates that come out of joint practices. So, good morning. Hopefully, you guys have your coffee. Again, this is early. We don't normally go live this early, but it is the dawn of a new season, 9 a.m. here on the West Coast. Don't know where you guys are watching from. Drop it in the chat where you guys are tuning in from as we get set to kick off the beginning of, hey, football season. Woo-hoo-hoo! Let's go. Tell them, Jesse. We got football back in the building. You love to see it. We got Idaho checking in. We got my island boy checking in. We got Memphis in the building. We got Portland checking in from enemy territory. We got Akron checking in. We got Wisconsin checking in. Let's go. We got another island boy in the building. We got what? New York, New Yorker in AZ. We got Germany. Let's go. World. We are prestige worldwide. We are in Germany as we speak. Jason Allen close to Levi. We got Chattanooga checking in. We got Texas. We got Indiana. We've got Sacktown in the building. Wichita, Atlanta. Look at us. Look at us. We got Cali representing for Cali. We got Arizona. Shout out to Utah. So I hope you guys are having a phenomenal morning here. Phenomenal morning. Oh, we know you're holding it down for us in the Central Valley. Let's go. New Mexico. Look at all the gang checking in. Let's go. Wisco, by the way, of the city. Simi, Oklahoma. We out here, baby. We're out. Hey, we can actually get a live show for Sean because we're starting early in the morning. Asked, do you think Brendel makes a big jump in improvements this year? I do. I think Brendel takes a step forward. I've talked about it. One of my main talking points all offseason has been the interior all taking steps forward. Banks, Brendel, Burford really all got their first year as starter last season. They will improve. They will take steps forward. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Got Bakersfield, South Carolina, Connecticut. What a great way to get our morning started with all the 49ers content that's going to be coming at us because let's face it, man, this is the number one story in the NFL. 49ers quarterbacks, 49ers training camp, all eyes are going to be on the San Francisco 49ers. One particular person that is going to have a lot of eyes on him heading into this training camp is going to be none other than Trey Lance himself. So now you see this video that I got primed, ready to go. This came out this weekend from a gentleman by the name of Kai Visuals on Instagram. So as we know, Trey Lance has been putting in immense work. He has been working out with renowned quarterback coach Jeff Christensen. Jeff Christensen is an OG in the quarterback game when it comes to quarterback training, whether pre-draft, post-draft, doesn't matter. You want to get a quarterback trained, Jeff Christensen is at the top of the list. You can see Jeff Christensen. He's in the blue in the back. You see the OG just looking on as Trey Lance gets ready. So I'll run this video in a second. But one of the things that's really cool about all this is we know that Trey Lance has had multiple quarterback trainers, whether it was his pre-draft quarterback trainers, Quincy Avery, amongst other people. Then post-draft, he went down to, I think it was 3D QB, I think the name of it was, down south with John Beck, I believe, and their whole group. And now he has now shifted to another quarterback trainer, which is Jeff Christensen. And by all accounts, I mean, I think it was Matt Barrows who did an awesome piece on getting some inside scoop on what Trey had been working on with Christensen. I think he spoke to Christensen direct. Christensen, I think one of the quotes that came out of that was he thinks Trey Lance could be incredible, especially in Kyle Shanahan's scheme with the weapons and all of that. And I think a lot of people believe that. I think a lot of people believe Trey Lance can be incredible if given a shot. That's what that's what it's become, like the main talking point amongst 49ers fans is Trey Lance going to get his shot this year? I don't know. You let me know in the comments right now. Is Trey Lance going to get his shot? At minimum, we'll see Trey Lance in training camp. We'll see Trey Lance in those joint practices against Jimmy Garoppolo, going against the Raiders' #1 defense. That's going to be a huge couple days of practices for Trey Lance. We're going to see him in preseason games. Who knows? Maybe what's the status of Brock? Where's Brock at? When does Brock play? Does he miss any time? Does Trey Lance step in? A lot of different things in the works right now for the San Francisco 49ers. But from all accounts, it does look like Trey is out here working, and he's looking good, man. Like he's really looking good. And I think that's all you can really ask for from a guy like this. Young. We know the experience he's trying. You can only obtain experience through live reps, and he's probably. I mean, you think of a guy who's put in more practice reps, right? Reps against air, considering the fact that he didn't play in 2020. He started his pre-draft training in, I think, October of 2020, when you would typically be in the middle of your college campaign, trying to win a national championship. He began his offseason pre-draft process in 2020. That led all the way up until May of the draft, then OTAs, broke for the summer. I mean, this dude has thrown against air for the longest time. So what we need to see from Trey is we just need to see it in real time. And will he get that valuable experience to get that real time? There's a lot of different variables in play, but I think one thing that a lot of people want to see is they just want to see Trey. They just want to see him go out and be able to do it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, this young kid, I call him a kid, man. It's just a reminder that I'm old and they're not. I think, what is Trey? 23 years old. I mean, he's got a lot of playing time left in front of him. And there's a lot of things that Trey can still accomplish in this league. But it's really cool that we got this over the weekend. Again, Trey Lance working with quarterback coach Jeff Christensen. We know Tay Martin was there, 49ers wide receiver, heading into year 2 for the 49ers. He was a UDFA last season out of Oklahoma State. He's a guy that is going to be an under the radar type player. But hey, Trey Lance out here putting in the work. I think there's things that you can say about Trey Lance. I mean, a lot of people want to knock Trey every chance they get. But I think one thing that you can say about Trey is that he's going to put in the work. He's going to put in the time. I don't think his work ethic has ever been questioned amongst teammates, amongst coaches, amongst trainers. One of the things that you consistently hear from multiple people is that Trey's going to work and Trey's going to put in the time. So that's half the battle to begin with some of these guys. So I don't think it's a matter of if Trey will be successful in the NFL. It feels like it's just when. It's a when question. When will Trey Lance be successful in the NFL? Will it be this year with the San Francisco 49ers? Will it be with a future team? Again, we don't want to look too far ahead, but those are the questions that we have right now. And it just feels like, again, it's not a matter of if Trey will be successful because I think he absolutely has that opportunity. It's just a matter of when. When will that opportunity come? We'll see. But we also got this right before we came on. Another 49ers quarterback in the mix. So as you guys know, Brock Purdy has been in Florida working with Will Hewlett of Quarterback Collective, another great quarterback trainer, one of the best. He trained Anthony Richardson in his pre-draft process. He trained Brock Purdy in the pre-draft process. So has a ton of experience with Brock. As you can see, Brock has gotten some work in. They've done a really good job of kind of keeping it quiet in regards to Brock Purdy's status and what he's up to, what he's been doing. So one of the things that we are kind of in the wait and see period on with Brock Purdy is just a status update. We're waiting to see what Brock's availability will be in training camp. So, do we find that out from coaches when they speak to the media? Do we find that out via Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport in a tweet sometime today? We don't know. But that's one of the things that to be on the lookout with right now is Brock Purdy. We could be getting a Brock Purdy update here any time in regards to if he's going to start training camp on PUP, if he's cleared and all ready to go. I don't know exactly the timeline, so my assumption is that once Brock Purdy reports, he will go through a physical, and then the physical that the 49ers put on will determine his availability from that point on. So as it stands right now, he has his own team outside of the San Francisco 49ers, quarterback coaches, training staff, of course, his surgeon, all those different types of elements that are checking on him, making sure that his progress is on track and on point. So my belief is that the next step for Brock is that he will show up to training camp. And again, everyone is the deadline to report is tomorrow. So who knows? Guys could already be there. He could theoretically already be there, but we don't know just yet. And for Brock, what the next steps are is getting cleared by the 49ers staff. getting cleared by 49ers team doctors, and that will determine what the next steps are, whether he's all cleared, whether he's good to go. That is what we will find out. But they haven't leaked any video. We talked about this last week. They haven't leaked any video of him throwing. I'm pretty sure he's out here slinging it. Like, we know that. Like, Brock Purdy started throwing at the end of May, I believe it was. So he was a little early in his progress back to throwing a football. Remember how big of a deal it was that he was throwing a football again? That was in May. And so the hope for Brock is that he's cleared and can start at the beginning of training camp. And then, of course, that gives him about a month to prepare for week 1. Now, again, a lot of questions still out. What will he look like? Will he be fully ready to go? Will he be the week 1 starter? Will they have to start Trey Lance or Sam Darnold or Brandon Allen in an event that Brock isn't ready or has a setback, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, a lot of questions, but we are one step closer to answering the questions. And that is a great, great sign for all of our mental health and for the success of the San Francisco 49ers. So that's exactly what we're anticipating and what we're waiting for. So there's multiple things that we're currently waiting for as a fan base in regards to information. Pecking order. What's the pecking order for the 49ers quarterbacks? Who's first string? Who's second string? Who's third string? Who's fourth string? We're waiting on pecking order. So obviously, pecking order is something that will mature throughout the training camp, will mature throughout preseason, all those things. So whatever the pecking order is day 1 of training camp, take it with a grain of salt. Uh it's going to change, it's going to evolve. Many things are going to continue to progress. So if we hear out of 49ers training camp, again, there's multiple layers to this, but let's say layer 1, Brock Purdy is cleared to participate day 1 of training camp. My projection of what the pecking order will be for day 1 would be, again, caveat, Brock Purdy's cleared for full football activities, meaning he's made a full recovery and he's ready to go, right? Great news, good news. Purdy's 1, Trey's 2, Sam's 3, Brandon Allen 4. Now, how long it stays like that, it could be, they could flip it the next day, and then they could flip it the day after that. So one thing that we do know about the 49ers of tracking training camp for a couple years now is that they do have an aggressive rotation when it comes to players competing. So if Trey Lance and Sam Darnold are still firmly in a competition, then I would expect Trey and Sam to rotate. I would expect Brock to take drives or series off. So it's going to be a real wait and see situation regarding the 49ers quarterbacks. I know people are ready to crown first string, second string, third string, etc. But just know that I personally believe this is how I think it's going to go. And I could be wrong, but I think it's going to be a very fluid situation regarding pecking order. So it's a wait and see. We got to see. There's going to be a lot of evolution to this. And you know how the 49ers do it? They're going to keep it close to the vest. They're going to show us what they show us. But you know what Kyle's going to say? No definitives. Nothing set in stone, right? So they're going to let it play out. and they're going to let us continue to argue about it and whatever. So again, this is just my 2 cents of that. We don't got to get too crazy about initial pecking orders that are released, initial depth charts, because I think it's going to evolve throughout training camp, throughout preseason. And again, the biggest thing, I know we'll talk about it, but the biggest thing that we're looking for week 1, who's going to start week 1? And because, we've been talking about it for so long and I haven't done it in a while, it feels like a great opportunity to poll the chat. So, good morning to you all. It is 9:30 here in sunny California. And on this day, Monday, July 24th, one day prior to veterans reporting for training camp, 2 days prior to the start of training camp, 49ers football, 2023 season. What is your initial pecking order? Again, one of the outcomes, Brock Purdy's on PUP. So technically, if Brock's on PUP, he can't be the starter, right? So let me know in the chat. Let me know who 1, 2, 3, 4 is. Let me know, is Brock cleared? Is he on PUP? I want to see what you guys think. So drop that in the chat. What is the initial pecking order for day 1 of training camp at the most heavily discussed position in all of football? 49ers quarterback position. Everyone is talking about the 49ers quarterback position. Obviously, see a lot of people going back and forth in the chat. Well, instead of going back and forth, let me know how you see the pecking order playing out in training camp to start training camp, not necessarily the finish, but how it starts. We got our first full layout. We've got Danny saying Trey, Brock, Darnold, then Brandon Allen. We've got Trey, Sam, Brandon, Brock on PUP. If Brock is on PUP, Trey, Allen, Sam. If Brock healthy, Brock, Trey, Allen, Sam traded. Ooh, we're getting spicy in the chat. I like these ones. We've got Jose dropping Trey, Allen, Darnold, assuming Brock is on PUP. Alberto saying Trey's going to start week 100%. Okay. Stovey says Trey, quarterback 1, Sam 2, Brock recovering still, which again is fair. Like, we don't know what the situation is with Brock, so it's still wait and see. I'm not going to read that. Trey, Brock, Sam, JC saying Kirk Cousins QB1 in training camp. Wrong. Kyle Shanahan, quarterback 1 in training camp. That's actually one of the best parts of training camp is watching the period where Kyle Shanahan is the quarterback and is throwing against the 49ers defense. It's one of the best parts of training camp. Happens like clockwork. You get Kyle Shanahan out there throwing against 49ers defense. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. So again, we're going to be watching for pecking order for training camp. We're going to be watching for status of quarterback Brock Purdy. Where is he starting out? Is he ready to go? That's the biggest question right now that we got with the quarterbacks. Shout out to Chili, almost 400 members in the Discord chat. You want to join a 49ers chat? Chili just dropped the link in the chat, 400 strong in the Discord. Again, 49ers chat. If you want to get in there, always talking 49ers. Always talking 49ers. Ooh, I disagree with this. Camp reps and preseason is pointless for a quarterback. I have to disagree with this because again, I know the most important reps are always going to be happening in real time in a real game, but man, you cannot discredit the process. You cannot discredit like the lead up. You can't discredit any reps in my opinion. Reps especially in this league where they're so rare, like training the new training camp rules, there's no double days. They can't run out here and run practice for uh 4 hours and get everyone their reps. Uh every rep matters. Um so I think they matter for sure. Um That's fun. I think Aponte did this last year. I think Aponte tracked Kyle Shanahan's completion percentage. I think that was an actual thing that happened. Um so yeah, I think he did that last year. he tracked I think we were live. I think we were at that point you could still kind of have your phone out. I think we were live tweeting Kyle Shanahan reps. um I think we're talking about overthrows. It's great when Shanny gets out there and starts slinging them. That's always when we get perked up and get ready to go. So there's always a period. Kyle comes over to right in front of the stands. He's going up against the 49ers defense. It's like an install period. He's playing like scout team quarterback basically, and you get Kyle out here slinging them. So yeah, we've definitely tracked Kyle Shanahan's uh, completion percentage. But again, if you're just joining, Brock Purdy putting in the work, ready to go. Um, and not, I wouldn't say ready to go because again, we don't know. We don't actually know. But it appears he's in a good spot. By everything that I've looked at and gathered, it looks like he's in a great spot. But again, we will only know officially coming up in a little bit. So again, make sure you got those notifications on, man, because the second we catch wind of Brock Purdy updates, what his status is, PUP cleared, we're dropping. So we are going to be all over that. Crazy to think that I will be in Santa Clara this week, starting on Wednesday. Back around football. Honestly, it's been one of the longest off seasons that I can ever remember. And I'm excited to just get back around football, get back around fans, and just vibe out with the team that is known as the San Francisco 49ers, 5-time Super Bowl world champions. And we are on our way for our 6th. Oh boy. We got to come up with a new slogan for this upcoming season. I know a lot of people still use Quest for 6. I don't fault you if you used Quest for 6, but to be fair, the Quest for 6 feels really 2012-ish. And it's 2023. I think it's time for us to come up with, and we talked about this last year. I talked about, get the 6, take 6, because it's like questing feels like you're searching for something. Like you're searching for a championship. You're searching for the Lombardi. We know where it is. We we know. We know where that Lombardi trophy is located. We're staring at it. I don't need a quest to find it anymore, but we need to take it because that's the problem. Is we've walked up to it. It's like in a protective barrier. We've like put our hands on it, and you start breathing on it. It starts fogging up, and you like start drawing a little smiley face. Like we've found it. We know where it is. We've been right next to it. We don't need a quest for it anymore. We need to take it. We need to take what is ours. And what is ours is the sixth Lombardi, the sixth ring. It's there. We know where it is. We've seen it. We damn near touched it. We don't need a quest for it anymore. We know where it is. Take it. This is the year. This is the year that we stop messing around. We stop, oh, well, it would be great if the Fort. No, no. Expectations are at an all-time high with this team, and that's a spot where you want to be. I do relish the underdog role. I do. I did love in 2019 when the San Francisco 49ers underdogs, the pretenders, remember? Remember what they were called? The pretenders. That's what the 49ers were in 2019. People still kind of want to call us the pretenders. They still, because we don't have a quarterback, no one wants to, some people give us our flowers, other people's discredit us for our quarterback situation. But I think internally, this fan base understands, out of any of these years so far, like even last year, we had a phenomenal roster, but we had a second year quarterback getting his first crack at starting. We didn't know. There's tempered expectations. The 49ers should go to the Super Bowl, all things, considered going well with Trey Lance quarterback. Okay, Trey goes down week 2. All right. Well, what's next? We'll see with Jimmy. We'll see with Jimmy. Okay, Jimmy's playing well. Oh, but Jimmy goes down. Oh. All right. Well, can Brock do it? Okay, towards the end of the year, we're like, all right, I think Brock can do it. This year, regardless of all the questions at quarterback, Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen, doesn't matter. The expectation has to be Super Bowl. Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And I think that's a pressure that is welcomed. That's a pressure that is not something that is afforded to everyone. Or is anyone looking at the Titans like Super Bowl or bust for Titans? No, no one cares. If the Titans make it to the Super Bowl, absolute surprise. Cinderella story. Tannehill somehow is able to get it done. D Hop, Henry, all that type of stuff. No one's expecting them to win a Super Bowl or anything like that. Falcons, anyone expecting the Falcons to win a Super Bowl? No. Desmond Ritter, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, anyone expecting them to win a no, it'd be a great story, but no one's we are expecting the 49ers to take care of business, and I think that's a good spot to be. I think out of all the years, I've always had tempered expectations because you're just like, you never know. You never know. But this feels like the year that there's no need to sugarcoat it. We know what the expectation is. The expectation is to win that ring. by any means necessary. That's it. That's the goal. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And I'm looking forward to a year like that. Lots of highs, lots of lows, ups, downs, everything in between. But this team, under its current leadership, under the current roster construction, absolutely can get it done. I don't see why not. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Potato, doesn't matter. Super Bowl. Defensive line is going to be one of the best units in the league. It's going to happen. Super Bowl. So, great spot to be. Great spot to be heading into training camp. Great spot to be. 49ers have a big opportunity in front of them. Six in the city. I see what you did there. I definitely see what you did there. Nice work. Nice play on words. I'm down for six in the city for sure. All day. Every day and twice on Sundays. Sign me up for six in the city because we need it. Our trophy case getting a little dusty over here. It's time. It's time. Six in the city. That's funny. Oh, baby. So man, it's early. It isn't even 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. So definitely going to be coming back live on today. I'm going to do it's time. It's time for the 53-man roster projection. So I haven't done one all off season, waiting for the eve of training camp, basically. So today we are going to do the long-awaited, way too early pre-training camp 53-man roster projection. I can already feel the anxiety piling up of the hypothetical roster projection because there's going to be some really difficult cuts that are going to have to be made. It's going to be wild. It is going to be wild. I do not envy whoever's the decision maker in charge of having to cut the final 53 because the 49ers are going to cut some good players. They're going to cut players that are going to wind up on other rosters. They're going to cut players that could be potential starters. It's going to be wild. So I would say keep an eye out around 1 to 2. 1 to 2, we'll do 53-man roster projection again. Way too early because training camp is going to change a lot of things. But like we always do, it'll be great to reference from when we do our final 53-man roster projection at the end of training camp, at the end of preseason. See who surprised, see who proved us wrong, see who slid out that we thought was going to have a better time. Oh, you heard what I said. You heard what I said. But yeah, 53-man roster projection coming up because we're looking for that sixth in the city, baby. You know the vibes. We're on a hunt. We're hunting. We're not questing anymore. The quest is done with. I'm sorry. I get nostalgic. I get nostalgic about the quest for six. But see this trio above me: Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, Colin Kaepernick. Those guys were questing for six. we've quested and we found it. So no more questing. The questing is done. It's time to steal it. It's time to take it. It's time to run off with it. That's the vibe, man. 49ers versus the world. And I'm excited because I think, again, the expectations are there, and rightfully so. Everyone wants to focus about the quarterback. Potato. Again, when everyone tries to say, oh, well, you don't have a quarterback, you don't even know who your quarterback's going to be, just say a potato could lead this roster to a Super Bowl. And that's no disrespect to any of the quarterbacks on the roster. It's just a fact. This team is stacked. So, whew, it's going to be a fun year, guys. It really is. It's going to be another roller coaster ride of a season. It's going to be another roller coaster of a ride throughout training camp and preseason. That cut day, oh boy. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember. I think we were on live when we found out about Jordan Mason making the roster. Because like this was the Jordan Mason hive. Like this is where it was at. Like obviously a lot of people like Jordan Mason, but I think we were on live when we found out that Jordan Mason made the final 53-man roster. It was something that we were campaigning hard for, that it would be a huge mistake to cut Jordan Mason, because one of the things that we were worried about, those buddies up north, I don't know if we call them buddies, but the Seattle Seahawks, oh, you know they're roster watching. The Rams, oh, you know they're roster watching. Cardinals, roster watching. And it was apparent that Jordan Mason was for real. And I think, we're saying all along, like Jordan Mason's got to make the roster. He's got to make it over JaMychal Hasty. Again, that was one of the roster predictions that we had to do last year. Part of the roster predictions is we had to cut JaMychal Hasty, who had a phenomenal camp. But what we did talk about was the fact that Jordan Mason played so well. Jordan Mason is a true 3-down type running back. He has to make it. And I think we were live when we found out that against all odds, the undrafted free agent out of Georgia Tech made the final 53 out of training camp. Again, I was told earlier in the live that training camp reps and preseason reps don't matter. Don't tell that to Jordan Mason, because Jordan Mason went from undrafted free agent to beating out two guys. One guy who'd been on the 49ers roster for a couple years and had been playing well, in JaMychal Hasty and Trey Sermon, who the 49ers traded up into the third round to select. Jordan Mason beat both those guys with what? Training camp and preseason reps. So they matter. They might not matter, quote unquote, in the grand scheme of winning a Lombardi, how some people connect those dots. But there's a process, and there's a reason they follow the process, and there's a reason they practice, and there's a reason all this preparation is put in prior to the beginning of the season, because it matters. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't do it, and they wouldn't get injured, and they would just walk in fresh to the beginning of the season. There's a reason why they have training camp reps. There's a reason why preseason reps exist. So this 53-man roster is going to be brutal. I'm projecting like the linebacking situation is going to be the most brutal to iron out. 49ers have a ton of defensive tackles. Again, offensive line might be difficult just because of depth involved. How many quarterbacks are they keeping? How many wide receivers? How many tight ends? The 53-man roster projection, it's going to be a tough one, but we're going to come back live around, I would say 1:30 around that range. So keep an eye on the channel. Again, turn post notifications on. And like I said, any information about Brock Purdy and his status, we're dropping that the second it goes. Nick Bosa, his contract extension, potentially whenever it goes. We are officially here, guys. We're officially here. We actually made it to now talking about real football stuff. Real football stuff. So much so that we got a Jalen Hurd update last week. We got a Jalen Hurd update in 2023. Like, football's here. Let's go. I'm hyped. So again, stay glued to the channel. Anytime anything drops, we are dropping it immediately. And those are the two those are the two things at the top of the list. Brock Purdy status update, Nick Bosa contract extension. We got two things that are huge. Huge. So definitely looking forward to that. Did you guys hear about what happened to Naheem Hines? I don't know if you guys heard about that. Again, this is not 49ers related. It's a wild what happened. Bro got a ACL injury that's going to have him out for the year after he was sitting stationary on a jet ski and another person hit him. Shoo, that is terrible. That, like, talk about bad luck. Talk about bad luck. And again, you know, I've been on the water my whole life. Boating, jet skiing, anything. We've been out there. I've been out on the water. So there's a lot of knuckleheads out there. But to be a football player and your health being something that is huge for, again, your earnings, your job, everything. Just to be sitting on a jet ski and another jet ski runs into you and tears your knee up and has you out for the year. Who knows if that's a long-term thing down, like, God, that sucks, man. That sucks. Somehow this has turned into a boating PSA. So when you're out there on the water, keep your head on a swivel. Number one rule of manning watercraft: keep your head on a swivel. You got to pretend like you got a 200-foot bubble around you, and you got to know what is happening in that 200-foot bubble at all times. You got to have elite awareness on when you're out there on that water, man. You really do. Oh, you really do. You really do. So that sucks, man. Really, really sucks to hear that for Naheem Hines. Mario said, just got here. What happened? So this was an un-49ers related. It's just a report that came out about Bills running back Naheem Hines, who was just chilling on a jet ski, and another jet ski ran into him, tore up his knee, and he's out for the year. Brutal. You never want to see that with anyone. Again, it's not 49ers related, but again, you don't want to see that happen to anyone, especially when their livelihood surrounds playing football. So all of a sudden we had didn't plan on having a boating PSA on our channel this morning, but there you go. So, all right, man. Anyways, on a more positive note, football's back. Football's back. Football's back. And so much so that Cap says, "How overhyped is the Rodgers to Wilson play?" Um, yeah. Uh, that again, great catch. If you're not familiar, I'm sure you are, because it was all over the place yesterday. Aaron Rodgers flinging a little dart to the back of the end zone. Garrett Wilson, second-year wide receiver for the Jets, making a really acrobatic catch, getting his feet in bounds. It was a good play, but I think it just is. It's emblematic of how much we've missed football. I just really think that's what it's about. And on top of that, it's Aaron Rodgers. It's our first time seeing Aaron Rodgers in however many years in a jersey that's not Green Bay Packer green, So, like, I get it. I get it. I get it. We miss football, man. We miss football. Overhyped, yes. Warranted hype, yes. We've missed football for a long time. So I get it on both. I get it on both ends of the spectrum. It was a good play. Yeah, it was a good play. Was it a play that should break the internet? I get why it did. But I get it. We've missed football. So Justin says, Brad, are you allowed to film at training camp 7-on-7 or 11-on-11? No. The 49ers are very, very strict about what type of stuff they allow you to film. I mean, if they allowed us to film if they allowed us to film 1-on-1s, 7-on-7s, and 11-on-11s, bro, the content for the last couple years would be absolutely insane, but they don't allow it. So the only thing that we're able to film is basically individual period, stretching. That's about it. And after practice. So 49ers have been ultra, ultra strict with what you can film at practice. So I'm very familiar with the drill. So like, again, a lot of the videos that went viral this weekend of New York Jets camp, they were from fans in the stands. Like, typically, the only time I've ever been able to video all of practice was when they were in the stadium in 2021, and we got a ton of great clips from that. One-on-one, team period. We got so much good stuff. But unfortunately, the 49ers are super, super strict about what you can videotape, and best believe you're not getting any 7-on-7s, any 11-on-11s, no 1-on-1s. Last year, the very first day of training camp, they allowed us to film 1-on-1s, but I think that was by accident. Because I think I posted a 1-on-1. They normally have these placards that they hold up that says no videotaping. They didn't hold it up for 1-on-1s last year, and I was like, I was like, finally, I was like, we get to shoot it. I think of course, got a shot, went semi-viral, and the very next day they're like, no 1-on-1s. So, I would expect the same thing. I would expect that. Unfortunately, the only shots that you will get of 11-on-11, 7-on-7, 1-on-1s are going to be from the 49ers direct, which I understand. I get it. I understand why they do it. Doesn't necessarily I would love to shoot it. That would be my dream, to be able to shoot those types of things and share that with you guys. But 49ers are really strict with all that type of stuff. They're really strict with everything. So it's fine. It's okay. We'll survive. So that's why you got to stay tuned, because we just have to I'll just have to repeat it the best I can from the way I saw it, which, again, we've been doing it for a couple years now, so no biggie. No biggie. We'll tell you about it all. So we'll see. We'll see. Not actually be able to visibly see. You have to hear, but I need to hide a camera in my beard and just be like, they're like, why do you have your chin up all of practice? And I'm just like, what are you doing? Nothing. There's just like a little camera poking through. Yeah, no, the second one of those clips hit the timeline, I'd be cooked. So no sneaking, because they would cook my ass immediately. Yeah, straight up. Who, me? Just hanging around. Um, shout out Macy. But yeah, man, no sneaking, no sneaking. I still want to be able to go to training camp. I don't need a reason for them to kick me out. Already more than they already have. So hey, we're gonna play by the rules. We know the rules well. By some miracle that the 49ers like, you know what? We want our fans to be exposed to, the what's happening in training camp and to be able to visually see it from other perspectives. That would be great. But I'm definitely not going to hold my breath. Drone footage. I feel like I feel like I feel like someone tried to do a drone. I feel like someone tried to do a drone and I feel like that happened last year and they had to do something about it. I forget what it was. Could you imagine someone flying a drone over 49ers practice and then you have like 49ers security like shoot it out of the air because they're ready. They have their own defense mechanism against drones filming practice. They like shoot them with like nets and it like stops the propellers and they just crash to the ground. I could see that happening for sure. But we're off the rails. It's an hour over, so you know the vibes. We're an hour over, off the rails. All before 10 in the morning. It's basically a little after 10 in the morning where I'm at. So, like I said, I'll be back on later today to be able to do our 53-man roster projection. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up. No, 100%. Hey, I get it. 49ers, they don't want any shenanigans going on. They like to keep it in house. I mean, I know there's obviously a ton of other teams that don't care. Clearly, the Jets don't care if fans film from the stands. But unfortunately, the 49ers do care. So, really limits the content. But man, like if let's just say, for example, the 49ers actually let me film like team periods and stuff like that for the last couple years, I I would probably say like um my I would say my content following might be like double the size. Just to how much engagement you can get off that type of stuff. But again, smart on them for not allowing it. Uh so it's cool. It's cool, it's cool, it's cool. Alrighty. But so I'll be back later 1:30, 1:30. We'll say 1:30 for now. 53-man roster projection. I haven't done one all year. So this will be the first. And it will be tough. I've played around with it and it's going to be very difficult. And it's going to give me a lot of anxiety cutting people that I don't want to cut, but it's going to happen. And so you have to live in that anxiety with me at 1:30 when we go through our roster, 53-man roster prediction, way too early, I might add. But you got to deal with it. And you could come yell at me for cutting your favorite up-and-coming player, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Smash that like button on your way out. Grab your cookies on the way out. Shout out to the SDS gang for hopping in Monday early in the morning. We'll be back this afternoon to do our 53-man roster projection. Wanted to get in here and just kind of talk about the quarterbacks because I know it could take up a lot of time. And we're going to talk about the rest of the 49ers roster. Get it primed and ready to go as we get ready for players basically getting ready to report tomorrow. So looking forward to it. Shout out to all you guys, as always, for tapping in. Again, going live at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. 53-man roster projection coming up. I'll see you guys then. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.